This is for the leaders, the visionaries, the hope bringers, kindness instigators. This is your place to get loved, poured into, activated, and inspired. Well, good morning. Welcome to Fireside Friday, August 7th, 2026. I hope that wherever you are as you listen, that this message is meeting you right when it should. We're going to have another one of these episodes where I have a lot of different pieces and we'll see how they come together. Um, what's been coming up for me this week for Fireside has been alchemy, the word alchemy, alchemist. And so I was spending some time this morning kind of looking at the difference between alchemy and magic because I feel like in the literary world, I've been listening to a lot of romanticy over the last couple years. There was a series called Quicksilver where she actually is a metal alchemist. And so, but that was earlier in the year, so it feels a little separate. But from what I'm ascertaining, the difference between alchemy and magic is that alchemy is more, it's like baking. And when you're cooking, right, you need specific measurements. There are more rigid rules for how you work with alchemy, and that alchemy also needs physical elements. It could be metal. I think a lot of metals are associated with alchemy, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was kind of like the foundational aspects for chemistry, for what we would call in science today, chemistry. So having more rules and structures, whereas magic is more of our own intention, beyond physical elements that we could see, more about bending reality. But what I'm struck by with both of these things is that both are producing change. Both are creating a change within an environment, whether it is a physical something or it is maybe even something how we think about something. But it requires your intention and it requires some kind of exchange. Because with alchemy, yes, we have the physical, but you still have the person who is choosing what pieces are going to go into the process. And so we're always having our intention come through. That's the other thing that I was feeling pretty strongly this morning that I'm supposed to do is share just a little bit more about my own story this week or some of the things that have been transpiring for me. And I'll tell you, like, I've not fully read our card, but this fireside it's always for me, but it's definitely hitting me in all of the differing places. And so for me, the other because I wasn't sure if I was going to share this, because for the people who I have shared this with, they kind of look at me like, that's kind of strange. And it is different. But I just finished my period this week, and this will be the second month. I use reusable menstrual pads. And I had seen in the past, or I'd seen some TikTok videos or whatever platform it was through, of women who had offered their period blood either back to the earth or using it in their plants. And they show some of the difference between the plants that they watered with their period blood versus what they didn't. And it makes a lot of sense that the period blood plants like really thrive. They really, really like it. And like again, if we're looking at alchemy, at like the physical elements of blood, and what we shed every month, if you're still in your cycles, it's full of stem cells. It's full of all kinds of different properties that are coming out of your own body. And so this is the second time I've done it. And what I've done is I've taken those and put them into like a larger container of water. And then I've offered them both back to my outdoor plants and to I have a tree here that I love. But this morning I did something a little different in that I also went and clipped some of my roses, um, like to prune them back a little bit that were about to fall, that have been pretty spent. And I took the petals and I added them into the water and I'm infusing it with my intention, both with what I want to offer back to the earth and to my plants, and the goodness and the things that I'm calling forward in my life. And the word that's there for me is ritual. Like when we create these meaningful, almost like a ceremony for my own self of something that I'm also shedding or seeking to give back to honor, the way that beauty blesses me, the way that nature greets me, but putting my love, intention, and literally life blood back into the earth from where we have all come from, right? We are all alchemical elements ourselves, because we are the water that we have drank, the nutrients that have come from the vegetation and from the animals, and all of these different parts and pieces that infuse our life. And this is one of the things that I think really changed for me several years ago, or just like this idea of understanding. I'd always heard about priests blessing water, creating holy water, and it had never occurred to me that I could make water holy, that I could bless water too. There was this concept too that I don't know, I'd never really thought about it, but it comes back down into our own intention, our own ability to allow ourselves to be able to hold that. Can I bless water? Will I allow myself to do that? Will I create these rituals that feel meaningful to me and something I wanted to experience? And I'll tell you too, like just having the water element and the physical earth element. I lit a candle as I normally do before I sit down to like steep myself in really what's coming forward. So I'm using a lot of different elements here in this space too, and I even prepare um, where all the different things are coming into relationship with each other. And I feel like the message also for today is like this is part of how we make our way forward in the world by taking our intention, our lifeblood, our gifts, the things that we long for, and channeling them into something that maybe hasn't existed before or exists in only the way that we can bring it. Um, and again, it's not about like a perfect process. In alchemy, it seems like there are some more maybe not, I would keep going back to rigid rules, but there are more components than with magic. But I just feel like it comes back to intention. I think that, and also for me, the fact that I never thought, well, maybe I could bless water. For a lot of us too, most of you listening are women. And for a lot of us, there haven't been a lot of spaces where we can be in our full gifting, living the life that and using our gifts because we're women, like just because we're girls. And I'm thankful that I feel like is continuing to change, and we continue to change that every time we go, I reject that. That's not meant for me. Um, and the other part of my story this week, talking about or thinking about creating some of these woo-woo rituals or things that I'm coming into a relationship that feel divine to me. They feel sacred. They feel important. My family of origin would not necessarily understand, or they would feel kind of threatened by that. And, there's a lot of things that happen when we start coming into our gifts and our expansion. I have yet to meet a person or coach a person who didn't have to give up or exchange some of the ways that they were raised or expectations that they felt like they were living inside of that they had to transmute. They had to make a different relationship with or create a different kind of reverence. Sometimes, so let me tell this small story. So, like last night, I was with my mom and I came across something. There's like a new drink at a place here called the Witch's Brew. And um, a former version of myself would have recognized that this wouldn't have been something that my mom would have appreciated or something that she would feel a connection to, which is so nice for me. It shows an element of growth because it didn't even occur to me to like censor myself or to code switch. Um, and so there's a local place here called the Witch's Brew, and they released a new kind of drink, and they're calling it, and they're called Gemini cups. So they essentially are like two different drinks. They're in like it's not one vessel. It's like two side by side plastic vessels that are maybe connected at the top. I don't really know or understand how they've alchemized this or whatever we want to call it. Um, but it's essentially a way that you can have two drinks for the price of one. So you get to try two separate drinks, like and the more the merrier. Um, and they're calling them Gemini cups. So I don't know. I've not looked into the origin of this. I feel like it's related to Gemini and the zodiac. And so I told mom, which I thought was, she likes coffee too. She likes beverages. I'm not a big, I have three things that I drink: water, sweet tea, and Coke. Like that's it. I will try other things, but like I just don't, that's what I like. And so my mom though, and my family and my brothers, they love to try different coffees. They go to coffee shops when they go to new places. Like it's a whole experience for them. And so I see this cup, and I know my mom is a Gemini. I really don't know a ton about the astrological signs. I want to learn more, but in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, that's cool because my mom likes coffee. She likes different beverages, the experiences of that. Like, this would be neat, like for her to check out. And I was sitting in her kitchen when I came across this, and I'm like, hey, mom, like, there's this, you know, there's a place in town called the Witch's Brew. It's down in Frankfurt. And I was like, and so I'm looking at my phone, and I'm like, they've created something called Gemini cups. And I was like, and you're a Gemini, and I don't know much about your zodiac. And I was like, but it's kind of cool. And I went to go turn my phone to her, and she is looking down. Her face is like crunched up tight, like real. And she's looking down. I was like, oh, you don't want to see it. She's like, mm-mm, wouldn't even look at me. And there in that moment, I just felt like, oof, like I felt a wave of just rejection. And knowing her, like all of these elements, the fact that they call themselves the Witch's Brew, the Zodiac, these are things that really butt up against her ideas about the world and what's available for us, and things that I used to feel restricted to. I'm trying not to use judgment, but these are agreements I don't have anymore, coming out of Christianity in the ways that I have. And I actually I don't really believe that that having strong faith is really any different from exploring and being curious. Like I think those things actually belong to each other. But for her, that was a boundary. Like those things, those words, those concepts, like they're not to be curious about, they're to be pushed to the side, and like that's not for us. But in that moment, I was just thinking, what a unique thing that I think she would really enjoy. And I went like it was almost like a little child going like, "Mom, look at this cool thing that I think that you'll love." And she's like, "No, I don't even want to see it." And in my own like little girl heart, I was like, "Oof," like I got some tears. And it just was, it's something that I wasn't ready for. I wasn't anticipating. But it does mark my growth in that what I used to also do is like know what's available for her to handle. Like, this is beyond boundaries. Like, this felt like more like I just wanted to share something unique and cool with my mom, and that was just not where she was going to go. And I feel like she missed out. I feel like she missed out on connecting with me. I missed out on connecting with her in different aspects. And like, again, that could be a totally point of view kind of situation. But for me in that moment, it hurt. I felt really rejected, and it reminded me of like, oh, I got to armor up here. But in that moment, I also recognized like, actually, I don't want to armor up anymore. I don't want to make myself more palatable. I don't want to remember that that is something that might offend or um, create problems for her, because that's not mine to manage. Now, it'd be one thing if I'm just blatantly trying to like poke her, jab her, or whatever. But for me, for my intention, it was nothing like that. And so I feel like one of the reasons I'm telling this story too is that's growth for me to be able to be myself, fully myself, has been quite a struggle because of some of the tenets that I've come out around perfectionism, around this is what it looks like and means like to be a leader, this is what it looks like and means to be a person of faith or a spiritual teacher, all of these things that I've had to renegotiate for myself, and come into a different relationship inside of, that has been part of my own journey in alchemizing the story that I'm inside of, and taking some of those pieces and building a different relationship with them. And this also marks kind of like a fork in the road for me, in feeling not beholden to what has come before. There are still pieces of respect I have for that. But in recognizing that what comes next and what continues to come forward for me, that again, my family of origin may not understand and they may not know how to appreciate, and that still can hurt. But at the same time, I won't continue to shut down or to spend time with, in a lot of ways, or invest a lot of my lifeblood in places where actually, if I was my full self, I wouldn't be welcome. And I think that's just part of our own discernment, because I don't want to live in places where I have to hide parts of me, or like where I have to make myself palatable. I want to be in community with people who want to be in community with me and the fullness of what that looks like, even if they don't agree or it might make them uncomfortable. And that's been uncomfortable for me to recognize, but again, to move toward. Um, the other thing I wanted to offer, because I don't really actually know how this pertains, except I know that one of Nicole, who's here with me almost every Friday, I have been seeing a cardinal this week, and it feels like it's meant for me in some ways. But even this morning, I was sitting here preparing, and I could hear a chirping, and I was like, I know it's a cardinal. I couldn't see it, but I have a bird app on my phone. For any of you bird watchers or who might enjoy this, there is an app called Merlin, and it's just like a Shazam for birds. And you can literally hit like record, it will listen, and it will tell you all the bird songs around you. It like identifies. There was one day I was at somebody's house and I put it on, and it was like pulling like 6 or 7 different birds, which was really cool. But I could just hear this distinct chirping, and I was like, it's close. It's either on the porch or it's hanging out in the tree. And I was like, I know it's a cardinal. And it was. So if you're asking for a sign today, if any of you have an association with and it was a male, so well, I don't know, it was a male this morning. Actually, I would have to look in the app if it differentiates, because I wonder if it can tell the difference in bird song. But it was it gave me the picture of the classic red cardinal. And that's what I saw yesterday. I saw another cardinal again another time this week. So that's for me. It's also for another gal I know. I already sent a message to this morning, but if you're asking for something, Nicole, it felt important to call that forward. Okay, let's do our card. So today we have Snake, shed old skin. So, um, the message of the card: cast off the old, reveal your true colors, talents, and gifts to the world. In many spiritual traditions, the snake offers powerful medicine. In tantric teachings, it symbolizes the Kundalini, which is the powerful serpentine energy within that allows you to reach your highest spiritual potential. When the sacred ones saw a snake in nature or encountered one in a dream, they knew that there was transformation in the air. For me, the snake card not only represents the shedding of old skin, but moving beyond the limitations caused by carrying the venom of negative thoughts about others or the past. The energy of renewal is washing over your life at this time. If for some reason you feel that your true self hasn't been recognized or you've been misread by others, know that this energy is now leaving you. As you've been working through your old stories and all the self-limiting beliefs that you've accumulated along the way, you've been peeling away a shield of skin that has created limiting experiences. Your own personal commitment to growth has been recognized, and now the external world will begin to reflect all of the work that you've been doing within. If you feel someone you love has misunderstood you recently, they will be able to see beyond that. If you're willing to recognize your own challenges, this is a time for renewal, abundance, and connection. Let yourself be reborn and celebrated. So, as I said, this card felt really, really, really spot on for me today. Um, and in other ways too, I've been talking about kind of ending a cycle in my life. And so I love this last line. This is a time for renewal, abundance, and connection. Let yourself be reborn and celebrated. Let yourself. What I love about that is that so often we can limit what we are receiving by our belief if we can have it, if we can do it, if we've been allowed to have it. Um, and so I feel like the message today is like, let yourself shed what isn't meant for you. Continue to embrace what is. And the last thing I'll offer too about my own kind of my own perspective is that every time I've been willing to be myself, to speak as myself, to share how I'm really feeling with the world and in community, yes, there have been moments where I haven't been met with reception with people who may have known me, but there have been so many gifts inside of being seen and having someone also go, hey, I see myself in this too. I'm actually in a similar place. Um, and what I continue to love or remind myself is that every time that we're shedding this old skin, it is, we are saying goodbye to parts of ourselves that we have been, to a life that we were inside of. But as we do that, as we cross into a threshold, as we alchemize what has come before into where we're headed, we are new versions of ourselves, and at the same time, um, nods and reverent honor to what we have come through too. But it's in the letting us, it's in the power of, can we let it meet us? Can we let it be good? Can we let it be hard? Um, what will we choose to let life give us as we head into this weekend and into the weeks to come? I'm sending you so much love. I'll see you next week.